Making education accessible to migrant children is a step towards preparing them for future integration into the economic and labor market. Has Ghana put in place adequate interventions for migrants to acquire lifelong learning opportunities? GBC News' Oforiwa Dakum takes a look at the increasing trend of migration and how education can be accessible to young migrants in Ghana.
The reasons for coming is not just one, but it's a multiplicity of factors. So usually it's poverty, and these days we have climate change, and so perhaps there is drought, there is intensive farming. For the pulling factors, there are opportunities in Ghana. People find Ghana as a place where they could find better livelihoods.
25-year-old Abdullahi is a labor migrant from Niger. He's an asylum seeker who has been in Ghana for the past 4 years.
My brother they're here, my papa they're going in Nigeria.
Oh, okay.
Ghana is good.
Now, the number of people migrating to Ghana has surpassed the number who left. There are many of the migrants in Ghana who struggle to make a living by engaging in menial jobs, whereas others survive on the streets as beggars. These migrant beggars are mostly children who have the endorsement of either their parents or caretakers to flaunt themselves on passers-by. Some few meters away from a major city center, their car shopping mall, 3 young migrants were spotted begging for money. Eli, who is 11 years, claims Hawa, a 10-year-old migrant, is his sister who helps him to make more money on the streets.
Every day I go 5 cedi, I go church. 10 cedi, 5 cedi, 20. If I get 20, I'll go.
For most of these young migrants, education is the last resort, since making money on the streets is much more important to them. Eli said they can only go to school if his mother decides to take them back to Mali. These young migrants are among many asylum seekers in Ghana who are out of school. On the other hand, some officials in the education sector say some migrants prefer their children are in school than to be on the streets. Madam Eva Edna Bani, the headmistress of Nima 1 Basic School in Accra, said some young migrants are brought to the school to be enrolled, but the issue of language barrier always hinders effective teaching and learning.
Sometimes parents may bring certain children for admission. And if you talk to that child, you realize the child is not responding. Since that child has mingled with those who can speak the English language, with time, that child will pick up because she will be eager to communicate and then play with his or her peers.
Dr. Daniel Owusu-Chireko is the Assistant Professor of Education and Social Justice at the University of York in the UK.
With migrants coming from Nigeria, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Mali, Niger, they come with their own characteristics and their own cultures. When people migrate, they do migrate with their culture, their religion, their language, and these do have implications on the educational systems in Ghana.
A young Nigerian from Osho State, Joshua Kwam Tejuden, is a JHS 3 student at Baby's Nooks Montessori and JHS in Accra. Joshua is currently in Ghana with his younger sister, who also attends school in the country.
I've been in the school like 2 years and a half now. 2 years, let me say 2 years. When I get to the school first, the English is different. I didn't really get the English. Sometimes when you're doing dictation, I find it difficult to spell some of the things, but I don't have any problem with it again. I didn't even say anything like they're teaching me back from the rest of them. They are all treated equally.
The English was kind of difficult for me when I first got here. Like, it is different from what we speak in Nigeria. Some of my friends in class, I think they were teaching me, letting me to know it. I was getting it little, but some of them mocked me. If I speak something, they said, this is not how, and instead of they should correct me, they'll be laughing at me.
Alberta Dazi is a Ghanaian teacher who has been teaching young migrants for the past years. She shares how the journey has been so far.
The fancy, like the Ghanaian language that we have been doing in this school, Baby's Nook Montessori, because they don't understand our language, it's very difficult for them to cope with it. and they are friends too, because the way they talk, their tonation sometimes is difficult for them.
Touching on the issue of migrants and streetism in Ghana, an educationist, Mr. Anis Safar, said that all stakeholders should come together to find appropriate ways to deal with the problem.
The bigger picture of the refugee and the migrant agencies is that they have to be the adults in the room and begin to look at how they can sort themselves out in structures, in administration. That will really bring people in. If you wait for people to come to you, it will never happen. That's why it hasn't happened.
Being a country of origin, transit, and destination for migration flows, the migration dynamics of Ghana are complex. The director of the Center for Migration Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Mary Boatma Setrana, shared her views about young migrants in Ghana who survives on major streets, especially in Accra.
The good news is that in Ghana they can go to school, because our educational system says free education. It doesn't mention whether you're a Ghanaian or not, and so they can have access to basic education if they want to. But do these children want to go to school? That's another question.
While the government's effort is much needed to strengthen migration policies in the country, some experts say it behoves stakeholders in the migration sector to collaborate with the government to build strong partnerships to deal with migration inflows related issues to help promote the well-being and development of migrants in Ghana. For GBC News, Oferi Wadako reporting.